God. Okay. Welcome, everyone. And for those of you who will be joining us later to watch this, my name is Dr. Simone, and this...
I'm Sharon Zablock.
And we are super excited to bring to you all the information that you need to know about microdermal needling and nano-dermal needling. And we realize that some of you may not know us super well, and I actually would love to know, I think like a long time ago we had chatted about how you got into acupuncture in general.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your story again.
Oh, I love this medicine. It's been part of my life as a patient for maybe 20 years. And then in my own personal experience, I used it to try to get pregnant. I had some challenges at an advanced age. I was using artificial insemination, and I decided to pair this along with acupuncture, and I had an extremely successful experience. A beautiful pregnancy, a very healthy baby. She's 8 years old now.
Oh my
and
so
when she was one, I motivated myself to go. She motivated me to go back to school, and that's what led me down this path.
Amazing.
Yeah. What about you, Simone?
You know, I, back in the day, got really sick. I went to India and I was all dorked out on Canada. So, hey, Amanda, welcome. Just make sure you're on mute, my dear. I am just letting some people in. Welcome, Sherry. Good to see you. As you come in, my dears, just be sure that you're on mute. Yeah, we're just sharing our acupuncture stories and how we got into this medicine. And you know, back in the day when I was all dorked out in yoga, I just got finished teaching my certification course. I went to India, and for 2 months when I got back, I was super sick.
Oh, wow.
I was married to my toilet. Nothing helped.
Oh.
Nothing was wrong with me.
Okay.
According to Western medicine, I'd taken every antibiotic under the sun.
Oh.
And somebody just said, try acupuncture. And I never tried it before. I never heard of it. And one treatment, I was better.
Wow.
And just after that, I was sold. I was like, this is the medicine.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
awesome.
Yeah. And actually my new favorite thing is doing microdermal needling sessions. It's so much fun. And we are excited that you guys are joining us. I wanted to chat really quickly about our COVID situation and how we're maintaining COVID safety. I'm wearing an N95 mask, and I'll remain wearing that for the whole session. And Sharon just got vaccinated, so.
I did. I received my second vaccine maybe about a month ago. So I'm considered, you know, fully vaccinated.
Right. And Sharon is actually going to be our lovely demo for the day. And she's going to chat with you before we do that piece and show you what the actual treatment is like. Mm-hmm. She's going to tell you all the awesome facts. And then after we do a little demo session, we'd love to have a little time for Q&A with you guys and see what questions you have as far as, you know, anything that you were wondering about the session itself or the benefits and such like that. And then Sherry, I'm just noticing that you're still unmuted. If you want to go ahead and unmute your thing. Let's see if I can. Looks like I can't mute you myself, but thank you, Sherry. Awesome.
All right. So microneedling, this is kind of a newer thing that we're doing in our profession. Cosmetic acupuncture has been part of Chinese medicine for 3,000 plus years. Microneedling is a little bit newer. And really what we're talking about when we say microneedling is it's the insertion of very small, fine needles into the skin. And what we're using is a pen to create that insertion. It's a device that oscillates up and down. And what this is going to do is create little wounds per se in the skin. And that triggers our body to create its own healing process. And by doing that, we're going to produce elastin and collagen and new skin cells. And this can be done everywhere, not just on the face. We can do it on the arms, the stomach, talking a little bit more about, you know, microneedling. Besides using the pen, there's other ways to achieve this. Dermal rollers are another way. You might have seen something like these on the market. It's a handheld device. The needles are larger and a little bit more painful, and also not as effective for producing collagen. That's going to be something good for absorbing products, but not really so much for reducing wrinkles and scarring.
And by raise of hand, it'd be nice to see you guys on video. Anybody here ever get a cut, right? Do you have to think about your body healing that cut? It's the same idea. But in fact, when we do this little micro abrasion action and a micro wounding of the skin, that elastin and collagen production can be up to 1,000% more in just a single session. That's what the research is saying. So it's phenomenally effective.
And some of the things that it benefits is not just fine lines and wrinkles, also acne scars, any kind of scars really. What the needles are doing it's going to penetrate that scar tissue, break up the melanocytes, and again, help our skin produce its own natural healing abilities to lay down fresh new cells. We're going to also be able to tighten up skin that's a little bit looser, especially like in the jawline, around the eyes, with the eyelids.
Thank goodness. I did a few sessions now. I've had 3 done on myself, and my eyes were getting like the Asian droopy eye thing. And after 2 sessions, I don't know if you guys can see, but I don't really feel like I have that issue anymore. It's amazing. And you've gotten a couple of sessions.
I have. I've had 3 sessions as well. It definitely improves my skin texture right away. Like 2 days later, my skin is feeling so baby soft. It's going to take about 2 weeks for you to feel the full effect of the treatment, but you actually see some significant results right away. Your complexion's brighter. Again, the skin is smoother. Pore size gets reduced.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah.
And it really lightens brown spots, and not just the spots that we get on our face, but again, the ones that we're susceptible to on our hands and arms.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're not so religious about sunscreen on those places as we are our face. Living in San Diego,
Yeah,
we're all out there a lot.
Yeah.
This is great for stretch marks as well. So if you've got something in the abdomen or the thighs that you want worked on, microneedling can help improve the appearance of that as well. And pigment issues, melasma, whether that's from sun exposure, UV light exposure, chemicals, hormones, age, this can help even out that tone for sure. Plus, after the treatment, for about a week after, you can expect that product absorption is going to be increased by about 3,000 times. That is huge.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Which is why we use only the best products. They are lab tested and lab created and specifically designed for microdermal needling by AcuMicro, which is a well-known company in the industry. And so I'll talk more about the products as we do the demo in just a bit.
Yeah. This actually isn't for everybody. So there are a few contraindications. If you're on chemotherapy or radiation, you'll want to wait until that treatment's completed until you decide to give this a try. If you've got any active infections, we also want to, postpone the treatment until that's been cleared up.
That includes pustulating acne. And what we would do is something different at the time that it's breaking out. And then once it scars, we can go over it.
And if you're susceptible to eczema or psoriasis on your face, we also want to avoid this, as well as any local warts. And if you ever have had a scar that's formed a keloid, if you've got extreme tendency to form keloids, again, this probably wouldn't be the best treatment.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so this isn't the only way to achieve some of those effects. Increasing collagen and elastin, improving fine lines and wrinkles. There's other treatments out there, such as microdermal abrasion and chemical peels. Those are actually removing a layer of your skin and using chemicals to do so. Like, ouch. Yeah. And the downtime for that, I can't say firsthand, but you're going to be down a little bit after that happens. And it's also, laser skin resurfacing, where they're using a CO2 laser to not remove the layer of skin, but to cause thermal damage, which is a little bit extreme, I think, for tens of thousands of dollars.
Then there's Botox.
Botox. Yeah, this is great for disturbing the signal between the muscle and the nerve, but it's a botulism toxin. And so, speaking of Botox, if you've had Botox injections, you want to wait about 2 weeks before you consider doing a micro needling treatment. In the same effect, also, you want to be aware that by doing the micro needling, we're going to make the effects of the Botox last not as long. So it's going to dissipate those effects faster. And same thing with fillers.
Right.
We're going to, you know, the micro needling is going to make that absorb into your skin quicker.
And another thing to note is, and we'll talk about the treatment plan and what to expect and how many of these that at a minimum you would want to get for the maximum benefit. But the effects last a long time. You might have to do a maintenance session a year, you know, once as you get past that place of like optimum in the treatment plan. And so I really love this session. We're excited to share it with you. It's all natural and safe. So let's get into the demo and show everybody
sounds good. I'm excited.
what it's like to get a session. Sharon's gonna lay down, and generally I would ask people, and I'm just gonna turn this a little bit so you guys can see me a little better. Generally, once as you come in, we treat the whole body. I always will ask people, is there anything else going on? Do you tend to get headaches, things like this? We want to ground the energy in the body and make sure that it's also a super relaxing session and comfortable for you as much as possible. And so generally, you comfortable, my dear?
Yes, I am.
Okay, awesome. I've also already asked Sharon if she has any makeup on, and she just has it around the eyes, which we're going to be avoiding for today. And so if you did, I would apply this gentle cleanser and just clean off the makeup. We want to make sure the face is nice and clean. And we also give people the option to apply lidocaine. And this is a natural pain relieving cream. It's a numbing cream. I have done it 3 times now. Sharon's done it a few times now. I think at this point, we both have kind of decided, like, you know, what's the cost benefit of using chemicals versus a little bit of sensation on the skin. But what I'll normally do if this is your first time is give you a sensation on the forehead, which is the bonier area of the face. And this tends to be one of the more, you know, if you're going to have more stronger sensations, that would be the place. So we'll do a little demo on that area. I'll ask you if you want the numbing cream. And if so, we would apply and then let that sit for 20 minutes. If not, we're going to move on. I have the 2 different types of tips. This is a nano-dermal needle, and it's probably harder to see on this, but it's basically not really needles. It's more of a silicone-based tip that has a lot of rough texture to it that is really great for delicate areas like around the eyes and the lips. What we're going to be using is this multi-needle tip dermal pen. And they are all single use and sterile. First thing I'm going to do is wash my hands. And then I'm going to apply the hyaluronic acid on the face. I always like to give a nice little loving massage to the face at the same time, because why not? We all need an extra love in TLC. I'm going to try to cover all the areas, including around the lips and the nose. If there were areas that we wanted to avoid, I would ask Sharon. And I would also go over what are the goals that you have for the face, and you know, are there specific areas that you're looking to improve the most? And we would take before pictures and discuss that. Now, hyaluronic acid is amazing for hydrating the skin. In fact, some people will even drink food grade hyaluronic acid.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They will drink it to stay hydrated in their body. Actually, Dr. Nuremberg does that too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So while that's sinking in, I'm just going to do a couple of body points for Sharon. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Awesome. And I've already discussed with her what's going on for her body, and again, doing points that are really right for Sharon. Generally, we want to also involve some points that are going to help the body build blood and nourish the skin. And just help her drop into her body, into this moment. Everything needs adjusting.
I feel great.
Okay, awesome. The next thing I'm going to apply is the apple stem cell serum. And I can't say enough about, I actually think this is one of the most magical things about this session is this apple stem cell serum, because it is what really strongly produces the elastin and collagen uptake and synthesis. And so I'm going to apply this. Whatever is left over from the session, you get to take home and apply that evening or the next day, depending on the timing of your session. Kind of paint the face where it's a little bit harder to get to. Beautiful. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is load the pen, and this is the actual device that we use. We're going to use the sterilized tip on the pen, and I take care to not touch the tip. Once I have it out of the casing, I load it here and snap it into the pen itself. Okay. I always use gloves during the session. It is rare, but there can be bleeding or bruising. You know, if you tend to be easily bruised, this may not be the session that you want to start with. But again, it is more rare. My experience of using dermal rollers is that they tend to be a lot more painful than this experience. This is very minimal. In fact, I almost think it's like a massage. We're going to start at 0.5 millimeters depth, and I'm turning it on to its fastest oscillation. And that's part of why it actually doesn't cause a whole lot of pain, because it's going so fast over the surface of the skin, and we're covering all of the skin. I'm going to be using some geranium water to just surface a little less friction as I move. So I'll be spraying throughout the session, just slightly. And I'm just going over just like this. I'm taking care to not press into her skin very much. I'm just rolling the pen over the surface and letting the oscillation do the work for me. And then Sharon, this is the most intense of it. What does it feel like?
This could honestly put me to sleep, Simone.
Yeah, like that's how I feel.
Yeah, the humming, like the vibration in the hum, almost like, you know, I'm one that will fall asleep in the car in a minute. And this kind of mimics that sort of feeling, the humming and the vibration.
That's great. Yeah.
But there's no discomfort with this at all right now.
For me personally, I tend to feel a little bit of sensitivity with my forehead, but when I feel it, it's like going so fast that I just breathe through it, and it's not a big deal at all to me in the way, like, I wouldn't call it pain. That's awesome that you find it super relaxing. So once as I do one direction, I usually will go the opposite direction. And then I'll also cross hatch the other two directions as well. And my goal with this is to get even coverage of the face and to make sure that I'm not missing anything. It just also trains the skin to not just choose one directional way to repattern itself as it heals. So that's really important too. Getting that youthful glow and texture to your skin. I also like to do right above the eyebrow, right above the eye. Like this is still not quite as sensitive skin as the eye itself, eyelid. So I'll just go over the eyebrow a couple times, which really helps to improve that skin there.
This can also stimulate a little bit of hair growth.
That's true.
So if you love those thin eyebrows,
yeah,
give us a heads up.
that's true. I'm going to spray again. Check the nose before we go deep into. If you have recently been sunburnt, that would be another thing to not get a microdermal needling session right away. And you also want to be avoiding the sun for a few days as much as possible, or any like extreme elements for at least a day. And your face is going to feel pretty tender for up to 24 hours. I would liken that to kind of like a sunburn experience, a mild one. Now, as far as what I recommend for your treatment plan, if, you know, there's so many factors in the health of our skin, right, Sharon? Like there's just, I mean, the way you eat, how much you exercise, how much do you sweat and wear face masks all day or all that stuff, you know? But you know, you want to put all of that into account of the speed at which you're going to see an anchor change with the session work. Obviously, the less you do that dehydrates your skin, like coffee, alcohol, and smoking, the more results and faster results you'll see. We recommend a minimum of 6 treatments if you're just coming in, like, especially, you know, you're not experiencing a lot of wrinkles or fine lines or, you know, any issues, you just want to kind of boost your skin. I would say the 6 treatment mark once a month is totally fine. But if you are coming in for something specific and you want to revitalize the whole skin, maybe you're seeing some skin sagging, lots of wrinkles, just want to improve the texture. You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Okay. We are going a little bit deeper onto the cheek because it is a fleshier area. I will be doing 1 millimeter for the rest of the face. So what I really recommend for everyone that wants to get the most benefit from this amazing service is to do once a month for 12 sessions. And one of the things that really helps for if you have pustullating acne and or maybe the skin is not as firm and you know, maybe there's some sagging or structural stuff that you want to address, I would also get cosmetic acupuncture in between your sessions. Usually 2 is a great way to go. So you would do 1 a month of this and then 2 cosmetic acupuncture sessions. And what that is localized needles that are going to actively not only tone the local muscles in the face, but also can address those heat symptoms like acne by surrounding it more directly. And we wouldn't want to go over that with the pen because that could spread any infection that might be in the acne itself. So So as you can see, this is a fairly fast session too. It takes maybe like 20 to 30 minutes and it's great. You don't have to commit a whole lot of time to each session. And then we spend about 20 minutes with the red light afterwards. And I'll show you what that's about. You know, some of these laser sessions and things like that, they just take a long time. And you're in there and they're quite painful from what I understand. Have you ever had that, Jen?
I have not, no.
Yeah, I haven't either, but I just heard about it. Another thing that we like to do is get the neck. And, you know, so many times we adjust the face, but then forget about the neck tissue. And it's actually very similar tissue to the face. And, you know, it's such a feminine area on our body that really can be so expressive and highlighting of the face. We want to make sure that that tissue also reflects youthful glow that your skin is going to have.
Mm-hmm.
So we tend to do the neck too. If you don't want to have the neck done for whatever reason, you can always let us know. And of course, we will tailor the session for you. Yeah, I actually really, really love this part.
Feels so good.
It does.
It really does.
It feels amazing. Beautiful. And do the other side. So I hope you guys are thinking about whatever questions you'd like us to answer, as this treatment itself is almost done, the demo. The last piece that I'm going to do is let Sharon relax with the red light. There's actually 3 different LED lights that are an option. And the yellow, interestingly enough, can really, really help with any lymph issues as well as herpes zoster breakouts. And so that would be a different setting. And then if you have acne stuff going on, we would probably more lean towards the blue light instead of the red light. But all of the lights help with the mitochondria activation of ATP in the cells of each skin cell that you have. And therefore, not only helping elastin and collagen, but also helping the repair process happen faster. And so we love using that afterwards. Well done, sister.
Great.
Good.
Mhm.
I'm probably going to have you scoot just a smidge down
Sure.
the table because I think the light will sit better that way.
Is that good enough?
I think that's perfect. Okay. We did not apply the Lumos today. This is the other serum that we have available. This is if you had age spots or melasmas that you wanted to address. Really amazing for that. I actually have those issues on the sides of my cheeks. I'm always a sun worshiper and out in this, and I almost never wear sunblock. So really terrible. Age spots now coming out, and I'm like, oh man, these actually are a thing. So I've started to use the Lumos, and I have seen those age spots go down. It's really, really great. So after that, what I'm going to do is just apply a very light coat of a soothing moisturizer to kind of make nice to the face. It just kind of calms a little bit of whatever burning sensations might be arising, like that sunburn sensation. Lastly, I have sterilized all of our equipment and I sterilize it between each client. I'm going to place these little sexy eye blocker thingies over her eyes so that her eyes can stay protected while we put the red light over her. So the red light just sits just like so. And then we'll time it for about 20 minutes. Really, actually, it's super relaxing. There's something about the LED light therapy that it's kind of like your nervous system and your skin react to this at an other than conscious level, and you just start to kind of sink in after the session is done. We usually leave people for at least 20 minutes to just integrate and be in their own space and not have something buzzing over their face for a little while. And yeah, the light therapy, including this, has actually helped so much with the repair process that I feel like it's just as crucial, and totally love that piece of it. I'm gonna let Sharon relax for a couple minutes, but I would love to hear from you guys if there's any questions that you have. And just feel free to unmute yourself. Since we're such a small group, we can just kind of popcorn around. Sherry, anything coming up for you?
Yeah, I'm totally interested, but I have had Botox in the past, and I definitely want to get something done soon. But I might, Sharon knows all about this. I might be getting Botox treatment for my eye muscle. It's a totally different, it's
Okay.
I have an issue, but I have not been officially diagnosed. Do you think if I got treated for Botox for my eye muscle, could I still do the micro for everything else? Like I have lip lines I want to treat and stuff like that.
So is the Botox going to be injected into the back of the head, like that area?
I have no idea, no clue. I have to
Okay.
go to a strabismus specialist. He may recommend eyeglasses. He may recommend surgery, which I hope not. But I do know that
Yeah.
Botox is a treatment. I have an overactive muscle in my eye muscle. And
Gotcha. So they'll probably go local. Yeah. The option to go around that area is a thing. I would wait for 3 weeks after you get the Botox injection to be sure that we're not distributing the Botox throughout and like also undoing that process, because once it gets distributed, it will kind of like dissipate the botulism and kind of lessen the effects of it. So I would just wait and sandwich time perfectly so that there's at least 3 weeks between when you get it, and let us know where exactly that Botox has been applied. If it's the back of the head, not a big deal, right? Like, because we won't be back there so much. But and sometimes they do that for the optic nerve area or whatever, but for Bell's palsy and things like that.
Right. This is it's in the lazy eye family, even though I don't have a lazy eye, but that's what it is. I'm supposed to see him on the 30th. I didn't know. I mean, I'm going to see Sharon on Saturday. I was like, I want a microneedle now, but I don't want to do it and then go see him. And he might say, like if I did the microneedling first, could he still give me an injection after?
Yeah, totally. You could do it that way. The only issue is like, you're going to see some effects with one session. But I really feel like just like with acupuncture, anything natural, it does take some time for this to build upon itself to have that exponential effect that you're probably looking for, right? You'll see effect with one session, but then, without it being reinforced enough in that direction, it will go back until it kind of anchors in. So that would be the only other thing. But yeah, you could totally do it beforehand. I just don't know, like, as far as you may want to talk with him first. I'm not sure.
Right. That's what I'm wondering too. Because how long can you wait? You're saying if it goes back, how long can you wait between treatments before it just like it goes away? You need to keep doing it to have the full effect, right?
Yeah, I would say once a month is ideal.
Okay.
If you're getting some cosmetic acupuncture in between, that can really also be helpful.
Yeah.
But it has a different effect because we can't cover the whole face. With the cosmetic acupuncture, you're really targeting more of the musculature, which then once as that muscle's toned, will pull the facial structure. So
Mhm.
that's that lifting action. There's some elastin and collagen production increase with that, but not like the microdermal needling. It's like,
Okay.
no, it can't compare. But yeah, I would talk to him and get a sense of it. And if you can do it beforehand and then have the procedure and then wait a few weeks, like time it well,
Yeah.
then it could be perfect.
Okay. Because I see him on the 30th. I'm tempted to do microneedling first. I see him on the 30th. He can diagnose me. Like I said, he may not even say Botox. He may say something else. My ophthalmologist said glasses, but
Right.
that's not a permanent thing. I don't think it's curable anyway. So I just want to, like, I don't, I haven't done Botox in over a year. I know that's bad, but I've really been wanting to do something because I don't like looking in the mirror. And so I wouldn't mind
Oh,
possibly doing it before I see him, and then I could wait on the treatment with him, even if he says
yeah.
we'll do Botox. I could wait, right? And then he could give me shots. That's really
Yeah.
my only question. I've been doing. Oh, I just got some.
It's really
lactic
about
acid.
timing. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got some lactic acid. I wanted to try. Are you guys good with that? I've never used it before. I don't do a lot of stuff. It's 5%.
Yeah. So I want to, awesome. Yeah. I want to talk about other treatments, like any active skincare you don't want to do at least a few days beforehand,
Okay.
like
Good.
retinols or
Yeah.
like any of the other stronger acids that would kind of make your face a little bit, like when you do lactic acid, it tends to make it rough for a little bit.
Mhm. Okay.
So we don't want anything that's going to be like that before your session. We want unadulterated skin.
Okay.
And then for 24 hours, you want to just be using plain water to wash your face. You'll go home with the rest of the serums that we use during the session. So you can use those serums, but you don't want to even use soap or anything strongly cloying on the face because your pores are going to be really open.
Okay.
And they will absorb anything on your face, like Sharon said, up to 3,000 times more. So
Yeah.
it's really important to use really good quality products, really natural products. And then after that 24 hours, some people even wait 2 days just to be safe. Then you can go back to your normal skincare, whatever you
Okay.
like to do. But again, this is a micro wounding of the face, and that sounds so serious, but it's really more like you just want to be aware that your skin's trying to repair itself. So you don't want to do anything too crazy or drastic, probably for a week afterwards,
Okay.
giving this a chance to do its magic.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Those are really,
Do
I
you
mean,
have
like I
anything
said,
to add to that, Sharon?
No, I don't. I just wanted to mention about the skincare afterwards. Like you're right about using just water for the first 24 hours. But if you like to get facials regularly, you probably want to wait 2 weeks after microdermal needling to have a facial.
That's a good point too.
Or any kind of waxing or laser hair removal. If you're in the process of doing something like that, wait 2 weeks until you go back to those sessions.
Absolutely. Thank you for chiming in, adding that. Thank you, Sherry, for your question too, for
Yeah.
sharing your journey.
Funny. Okay, thank you.
Amanda Panda, do you have any questions?
Hi, Simone. It's Amanda here. So I was just wondering, what is the cost, and do you have any package deals?
Thank you for asking. So at this time, it's $250 a session, but we're actually going to be increasing it very soon. We'll be keeping it at the $250 mark for members. And our members receive a lot of awesome benefits, including 2 sessions in the lounge a month and a cupping session that's included in their $80 fee. And then we would like to throw in a discount for them for microdermal needling. So instead of doing packages where you feel like you've got to commit to this thing, I find that it's like, if you're really committed to the process, you'll come in, right? And we want to be able to offer that to the people that are in our wellness community, and they come in anyway. So that will be what I think we're going to do. And then the price increase will probably be anywhere from, the standard industry price is up to $600 a session. So, we want to keep it at a place where people can access it. And I think that we're going to lean towards $350 to $400, and then members get that huge discount. So that's what we're thinking at the moment.
Okay, great. And
Then
I
if
do.
you are,
Yeah, I am a member. So I
yeah, I
was
was
just
going to
wondering.
say, even if you're not and you're thinking about it, we are extending the $250 price for probably another month or so. So you can still come in and get this great deal just from watching this video for a month.
Okay, great. And I do use Retin A, so I would just want to make sure that I took a good amount of time off of that before scheduling my session, correct?
You got it. Yeah, I would take, to be safe, at least 5 days off from it.
Okay. Also, what about, I like to exercise and sweat. I know that's not really recommended, but
Thank you. Yes.
yeah. How would I need to plan for, 2 to 3 days afterward, not to have any, really active sessions where I'm going to be profusely sweating?
I'm so glad you asked, because I totally forgot to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. At least for 24 hours, really. After 24 hours, if that's your normal deal, you can sweat and work out. But you want to give yourself at least that 24 to 48 hour window for your body's pores to seal. And, if you do sweat, it's just going to hurt, because it's like sweating into a sunburn, like your skin's just really sensitive. And if you have a lot of oils or whatever in your head or other things, that will also absorb. So you want to just be mindful of that for 24 to 48 hours.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think that answers all my questions.
Beautiful. Thank you. I love the questions, because we always forget to say one thing or another.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this back. You may want to keep your eyes closed. It's
Right.
not like the sun is in your face. All right. Well, I'm just taking needles out for Sharon so she can join us in saying goodbye for you guys today. And I want to thank you guys so much for joining us for this talk. I hope it was informative, helpful to see what it's like, especially, if you haven't had it done before. And looking forward to seeing you guys March 14th. We have a spring equinox Zoom series with Dr. Reverend Natalie Vale, who is a dear friend of mine, and she's going to be leading us normally she charges like $250 for her ceremony. So we're getting a treat with like this really beautiful ceremony for spring equinox. I think you're supposed to bring an egg and a journal, and I forget all the things, but it's in the emails. So if you're getting the emails, just read your emails, join us. I hope to see you then. And thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much for including me in this. I had a lot of fun. My skin feels great. And I can't wait to help you all feel this beautiful as well.
You look glowy now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, ladies. Have a great
Thank
day.
you.
See you soon.
See you soon.